intelligence stooge to carry out such a thing. Somebody who has grievances and who writes publicly online. So this assassination attempt came only days after the prime minister formally and publicly rejected the WHO, something we celebrated here on the show. We pointed it out. If you'll recall, we talked about Slovakia. Like, way to go, Slovakia. Way to go for standing up against the tyranny of the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization, against the pandemic treaty. Here he was saying he would absolutely reject it. This was just 4 days ago.
Ak mal niekto iný názor na očkovanie proti covidu, bol nebezpečný pre spoločnosť. Média otvorene písali, veď si to pamätáte, ja teraz citujem, že každý nezaočkovaný by mal kvíriť od bolesti ako prasa. Ba treba aj použiť silu, ak niekto odmieta politiku ihly. A dnes sa ukazuje, že náš slobodný pohľad na očkovanie a opatrenia vlády v boji proti covidu, hrubo porušujúce ľudské práva, bol správny a opodstatnený. Jedna štúdia za druhou potvrdzujú škandalózne dôsledky masívneho očkovania nepreskúšanými experimentálnymi vakcínami. Áno, potvrdzujem, ako predseda strany a potvrdzujem to aj ako predseda vlády, že podporím úsilie niektorých politikov novej vládnej koalície politicky zhodnotiť, čo to tu vláda v rokoch 2020 až 2021 vystrájala a pozrieť sa aj na finančnú stránku plošných, často úplne nezmyselných nákupov zdravotníckych pomôcok a vakcín. Rovnako veľmi jasne prehlasujem, že Smer Slovenská sociálna demokracia nebude podporovať posilnenie právomocí Svetovej zdravotníckej organizácie na úkor suverénnych štátov pri riadení boja proti pandémiám.
Huge applause for that. I will not, as Prime Minister, stand with the World Health Organization and these pandemic treaties taking away sovereign power from our government. I will not do it. I will not stand with that. He was the lonely voice, of course, calling out for the war, calling out against the war in Ukraine. I will not send aid. I will not send weapons. We will not send money. We will not be a NATO stooge. And of course, NATO had been really needling and really trying to push an influence inside of Slovakia for the past number of months, as Mike Benz has been reporting on that. So they've been absolutely trying to meddle and needle the prime minister, and now they got their man with an assassin's bullet. Here he is talking about, by the way, this is something you can't talk about. You cannot admit the truth about Russia. You cannot admit the truth about what has been happening in the genocide in the Donbass since 2014. You cannot admit that the CIA fomented a coup inside of Ukraine, and that is why we have a Western-backed puppet government in Ukraine. You can't do that. You can't talk about that openly. The CIA doesn't like when you do that. Well, here he was talking about how this war didn't start in 2022. This war started in 2014. Watch.
Si myslím, že vojna na Ukrajine nezačala pred rokom, aj 2 mesiacmi, ale začala v roku 2014, keď ukrajinskí fašisti zabíjali občanov ruskej národnosti na Ukrajine. Mám na to názor iný. Ja som stále presvedčený, že Američania bojujú cez ukrajinských vojakov.
V roku 2014 začalo Rusko útočiť na Donbas.
Všetko začalo vyvražďovaním alebo vraždami občanov ruskej národnosti zo strany ukrajinských fašistov. Prosím, neprekrúcajte už aj vy tu zase všelijaké údaje, ktoré sú.
Yeah, can't say that. You absolutely can't say that. Viktor Orban, another person who doesn't care at all what the West thinks of him, says, I was deeply shocked by the heinous attack against my friend, Prime Minister Robert Fico. We pray for his health and quick recovery. God bless him and his country. Also, just a few minutes ago, we did get word that President Putin of Russia just released a statement as well, and said that he was indignant to hear the heinous attempt on Fico's life. He said, quote, I know Robert Fico to be a courageous and strong-spirited man. I very much hope that these qualities will help him to withstand this difficult situation, he said. Again, so this is I
wonder what other world leaders we're going to hear from that are going to offer their condolences.
Yeah,
I wonder if Biden's going to come out and Macron.
We'll see if Biden says anything about that. I wonder if Trump will say something about it. It'll be interesting to hear that. Yeah, I mean, you just think about the long list of people though who've been come out against this sort of government overreach. The in Japan, who was assassinated, Abe, right? I mean, they were calling him like Japan's Trump, right? Then he was killed. The same thing here. You're calling him, Slovakia's Trump. He gets shot. There's a long list of them right now, and it's really, really troubling in Latin America and in Europe. Look at Georgia right now. I mean, look at the country of Georgia, for instance. The White House is really not happy that Georgia is outlawing NGOs, non-governmental organizations. Imagine that, because coming up here in the show in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about NGOs and how they literally run the United States government. So Georgia is saying, no, we're outlawing them. We will have a government for the people. We're not going to have a government run by NGOs. And the White House is upset with them about that. They don't want that. And of course, that pushes them further away from NATO and all of that. So just a lot of moving pieces tonight, but just, again, a lot of fishiness around this. Do you guys think that this guy was a random lone shooter? He was just some guy in his apartment that was fed up with government policies? Or is it a little too convenient that the security detail was out of order and allowed this guy to get off 4 or 5 shots, and no one wrestled him to the ground until after those shots and after the prime minister was shot? And he happens to be pro-Ukrainian. He happens to be a supporter. He happens to be a liberal activist. It's just all very convenient. But I don't believe in coincidences on this show. Let me know what your thoughts are on that.